So, how did I come to do what I do? How did this become my interest? How did I gravitate towards this kind of work? In the formative years, when I was in elementary school, I had a very challenging time reading out loud. And it was exacerbated by the particular methodology that we were being instructed in, which was, I think it's called the Carden method. Whether that was being done well or not, I have no idea. But what I do remember is having to sound out the word that I was trying to say on the page. And it was internally very challenging for me. Challenging would be a kind word. So it was really difficult because everything would slow down, and I identify as being a Gemini. I'm, born at the end of May. And so I tend to be really quick, and I used to be very quick in everything I did, and my mind moves relatively fast, and I can jump from topic to topic, and that has its upsides, of course, and it has its challenges. And one of the things was that I would talk so fast that people would have a hard time understanding what I was saying. In fact, some people would even ask me if I spoke English, or they would be surprised that I wanted to be an actor, because they're like, wow, if you want to be an actor, how can you be an actor if I can't even follow what you're saying? You talk so fast. So quick was I. And on top of that, which probably made it worse, was that I would stutter. So I would be fast and I would stutter because I was going so fast that I couldn't get the words out fast enough. Or I was going out so fast that my lips and tongue couldn't, process. There was a jam. There was a jam in the system. Now, we could speculate on how come I stuttered or stammered for so long, but that's another story. Getting in conversation at home was more like a sport. So that's the world or the background that I, in my formative years. So whether someone is saying something spontaneously or someone is saying something that's based on scripted material, meaning reading a script or memorized lines or whatever it is, that process of having a thought and a feeling and having it organically come up and out is very important to me. And I can feel it. I can feel it at a certain level. And that's been something that's often driven me. The other thing that drives me is whether someone is saying something spontaneously or saying it as something that they've gone through a zillion times, or something that they're reading, or something that they've memorized, because those are all different. When it's not organic, when it's not connected to the person, where there's no subordinate image, where there's nothing that's feeding that thing, and it's just a rote memorization or a rote repetition, like would you like fries with your order? That's a good example of it in a very short time frame. It's something that falls on my ear in a very particular way, and it's really hard for me to hear that, especially when I'm working on a project. And so I'll go to great lengths to dig and to find out what's really operating, and if it's that or if it's something else. And the other thing that's akin to this is that I have a very strong tendency to isolate. And there's good isolation, or there's the good side of being alone and self-reflective and contemplative and all of that. And then there's the part that hurts. There's the part that is a disconnection from both myself and people, humanity, people. Let's keep it real. People, humanity. And so that's really also something that's been a lifelong challenge for me. I would self-isolate in so many different ways. In high school, junior high school, elementary school. When I look back at it now, I'm just shocked that no one called me out. I was, I don't know, I was that deft at it. I don't know. I'm not, I'm not sure how that happened, but happened it did. So I can go through long periods of time and self-isolate, not share, be reclusive. So in the way that it's helped me is that I have the ability to do long practices with breathing, also known as pranayama, yogic breathing. And so I can sit and do, half hour, 62 minutes, for multiple months at a time, in a row. I can work on things on my own and then bring them out into the world, so that's good. And then the downside is that when the isolation becomes too long, it leads to depression and a sort of a dark, why even bother, nihilistic sort of point of view that I experience. And that is debilitating, and it has a very strong tendency to pull me back into old patterns of not sharing more, being really consistent with my not sharing, and from that, severe limitation in my expansion. Saturn, if you want to use the Saturn-Jupiter perspective, my Jupiter doesn't get a chance to express itself. Saturn wins, right? Expansion, contraction, sun, moon, the polarities. And working with the creative process that I work with has come out of these needs. It doesn't come from some idea or some concept or some one book I read or theory. It came from an organic process of working with certain people who had a certain approach, and then taking those fragments that I resonated with or I felt to be helpful, and then putting them together. And then I use different worlds, the world of performance art, the world of performing art, the world of acting and writing and directing, and then the different mediums, be it theater, film, video, audio, words, writer, literary writing, as well as the world of the shaman, the world of, and when I say shaman, I mean curandero, I mean indigenous and not plant, quote unquote, plant medicine, what people are using today. Theater practitioners that are steeped in different kinds of ancient or traditional protocols or approaches, yogis, different kinds of healing modalities, and a lot of breathing, and breathing from different kinds of disciplines. And I'm not sure if I've hit it yet. I wanted to share my internal world with you in some tiny way, or in some way, small, medium, or large, in some way, so that you could feel how I show up for you, And I know that sometimes I'm not very soft, or I'm not very externally compassionate, but I am. In fact, probably, a lot, like I notice a lot, I see a lot, I feel a lot, I feel like I'm empathetic. Maybe I, don't go down certain roads. But, I'm learning about how important it is to let people know that I feel that. I definitely know the challenges of showing up. I know the pain. I know the pain of not showing up. I know the regret. of not showing up and the damage it can do. And when I say damage, I mean damage. I mean carnage. But from a creative perspective, but only from, like the living a fulfilled life that gets to be touched and that touches others. That kind of fulfillment.